In the past, obviously, got a bunch of the guys signed up that early signing day, and so it was really just making sure everything was in place and getting everything wrapped up.
Do you like that? Your early signing period?
I think it can go both ways. I think for a lot of those players, they're excited to be done with it and move forward, and I think you can get some guys signed up that other schools may have interest in later on in the process and take them off the board, which is probably a positive. So yeah, I think it worked out well. I'll be interested to hear high school coaches' feedback. A lot of those guys are trying to make the playoffs during that time, so I understand they want their team's focus on that and not signing day. But as far as Texas Tech goes, I think it was productive for us.
What other ways does it help? I mean, it help you guys start focusing on future classes and stuff as well?
Yeah, it did. I think the recruiting period becomes kind of an early spring recruiting type feel because you're looking ahead to 2019 guys and able to focus a lot of your energy, attention on those future classes and gathering that information and meeting with those high school coaches.
How different do you think that's going to be? This is the first year you guys can have guys official visit in April 1. How different do you think that will be if you guys are bringing guys in?
It's going to be interesting. I mean, those kids are really young to be bringing them on a college campus. So I'll be interested to see how that's done across the country. But you're talking about bringing a 16-year-old to stay 2 nights on a college campus. I don't know how good that's going to be for anybody. But we're going to see how recruits feel about it and kind of go from there.
Has NCAA added any more official visits, or is it still the same number that you're allowed?
Still the same number, I believe.
What can you tell me about these 2 tailbacks you signed? Targeted both of them in the late period, both Deshaun and Roderick both.
Yeah. What jumped out was just the production. Both went over 3,000 yards in their careers. Both can catch the ball. Both can do whatever you want out of the backfield. Tayzon obviously a little bit smaller, probably a little quicker back. Great hands, but really good at running between the tackle. Had some highlight play runs where he's running people over and making people miss inside. And Roderick, bigger body. I mean, I think 6'1", 190 we got him at. Tremendous athlete, 1,500 yards this year, 20 touchdowns, I believe. So what jumped out was just the productivity. Very, very good high school players that we think can transition in our offense.
I saw a lot of high school coaches just kind of say they thought that he really flew under the radar. Why do you think that was with him?
Yeah, I'm not sure. He's a quiet kid, maybe. He just kind of goes about his business. He's not about putting his stuff out there. But I'm glad we got him because when you get around him and you see that his focus and how good he wants to be, it really jumps out to you.
Do you anticipate that one or both could contribute right away?
I would think so. We like where our running back position is at currently. DeLeon, we anticipate being a member of this team this spring, and then Desmond and Trey King, and we'll have a couple others that have walked on. But I think with those guys' skill set, them being able to catch the ball to the backfield, do some different things, we're going to get them involved early and see how it works.
Same thing with the wide receivers, given everybody that's either left early, graduated.
Yeah, even more so there. I think, with Kiki's departure early, opened up some things, and there's some bodies that we think if they can pick up our scheme fairly quickly, definitely can do it athletically. And so that's the key, just getting them in here, a lot of those guys in here in June and getting them caught up to speed because athletically it's a talented class. And a couple of those guys, Myler and Sterling, are already here, and so we'll see how they fare during the spring.
You guys signed 17 guys. Could you just kind of walk us through the numbers at 13 on offense and just 4 on defense?
Yeah, we were heavy defense last year and signed some late guys that helped those numbers. And this year just worked out that we were getting caught up on offense. And next year it'll be back to more evenly split.
How many defensive players did you want?
We had a couple more targeted, but what we found the last couple of years is it's really nice to have that flexibility late with the grad transfers the way it's going and some late junior college players. And so I think we have 2 to 3 that we can kind of be flexible with here moving forward and see how spring ball shakes out other places and see what's out there.
With the way Coach John's ran his offense at Western Michigan and Indiana, those guys use a lot of tight ends. Do you think you guys could target something like that in the late period here?
We'll see. We like the 2, kind of tight end bodies we have, Tyler Carr and Dante Thompson. But if there's a player out there that we think fits, we'd definitely be interested. I think that's going to be something that he's really going to help us improve, our run game and some of those 11, 12 personnel sets.
Speaking of Coach Johns, who's going to call the plays next year?
We're still working through it. We'll kind of cross that bridge when we get there. But right now, just getting everybody caught up to speed and getting the offense on the same page.
What was it about him that really just stuck out to you that made you feel like he's the guy you wanted to bring in to kind of help run that side of the ball?
Yeah, he had great references, first and foremost, some coaches that I really respect and admire reached out. And when you meet him, his organization, his structure, his passion for the players, he wants to continue to evolve as a coach, continue to evolve his offense, and that was exciting to me. He's kind of a football junkie, always studying what other people's doing, trying to get better every day and in his scheme, and so we share some of the same views in that regard.
When you said when you said he wanted to evolve his offense, do you share that you'd like to evolve your offense as well?
Yeah, I just think we continue to adapt to our personnel. We'll have a couple of very athletic quarterbacks competing to be the starter this year, and we want to give ourselves the best chance possible to be as good as we can offensively. And I think with 5 starting offensive linemen back and some really solid running backs, we get a chance to do some things in the run game that maybe we haven't previously. And so talking with him, he's excited about this opportunity.
And to follow up on that, he had last 4 years he's had 5 running backs, several 1,000-yard rushers. One of those was Doak Walker, Award finalist, if I remember correctly. How much more running would you like to do?
Yeah, I mean, I think the way teams are playing in the Big 12 right now, their defenses, the way they're playing this new coverage, you got to be more effective in the run game, and that's something we've targeted this offseason to get better at. So hopefully he can help us.
Who were some of the references that you mentioned that you said other coaches that you respected recommended him?
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep those to myself, but just guys that I have a lot of respect for and trust in their opinions.
With all offensive linemen coming back, plus you signed 5 in this class, is it safe to say this is the most depth you've had on the offensive line? What does that do for the offense?
Yeah, it's been great. In the past, we've had to protect those guys a little bit, maybe some drill work and some other things because we didn't have many bodies to rotate through. And now you're talking about 3 deep and kind of some mixed-in guys running a 4th group. And so as far as practice goes throughout the spring, you can really grind those guys and be very physical and have physical practices. And that's a step up from probably what we've had in the past. If you get a guy hurt in the past, you're out of luck for a couple days practicing. And now having numbers to really go at it and having numbers on the defensive line is going to make for more competitive practices.
With the number at 17, did that kind of change with the way that obviously you gave a scholarship to Justice and all that? Did any of that have anything to play?
The only thing was, Justice and JD and High getting his 6th year back, but other than that, not really. Just have a bunch of scholarships on campus is what it came down to. Having 70 that are going to be able to go through off-season workouts and spring ball, that's huge. It's the most we've ever had, and we're excited about the depth that brings.
How many players were redshirted last year that will be available to come off this year?
That's a great question. I don't know off the top of my head. Somebody can probably get that number, but 5 to 6, I would guess.
Do you anticipate targeting a larger class in 2019?
We do, yeah. It'll be 25 players in 2019. We lose last year. I think we lost either 11 or 12 seniors, and this next year I think it's close to 24 or 25. So we'll be back up to a bigger class next year.
I guess in terms of your defensive class, I know you didn't sign that many. Did you have a focus or anything you were looking at? Was it tall guys, biggest guys that kind of moved?
Yeah, I don't know if there's a focus outside of trying to find guys we felt could provide instant depth. When you have 10 of 11 coming back and really most of your 2 deep coming back, we were being pretty selective and making sure it was guys that we knew could develop into what fit our scheme and hopefully provide depth immediately.
Is that the first time that you've been recruiting that you've been able to kind of do something like that? Because it seemed like the last 2 you had to find guys that could kind of.
No doubt, no doubt. That was made it a luxury for Coach Gibbs and his group to search out guys and really be selective on finding guys that fit all their criteria, and we could have the luxury of developing.
Can you talk a little bit about Alan Bowman and what his skill set is and what he'll do kind of this spring to push your guys?
Yeah, he's very productive. I mean, over 11,000 yards in high school and 120 touchdowns, 4-year starter, which is rare, particularly in a 5A school. One of those guys, he's a football junkie. He's been to every camp, done all the quarterback gurus he can do to try and perfect his craft, and that's exciting to me. He wants to be great. Smart kid, played in a very similar offense, and has picked things up so far pretty quickly. So I expect him to get out there and cut it loose. He's a guy who you can tell has a lot of confidence, and he's not going to back down from competition. So we'll get him out there, we'll put him in the mix, and see how it goes.
Is there a scenario that he could seriously contend for
I mean,
being a backup or a starter?
If he's the best one, he'll be the starter. It's wide open, and I think that competition is going to be what really helps that quarterback room. We first time in a few years, probably since my first year, that we've had a true quarterback competition where guys are healthy and competing at a high level, and the best guy is gonna be named the starter.
How many guys are competing for this spot?
As of now, probably 3, realistically. Yeah.
All the new facilities, new locker room, obviously SPC, new field. How does that help? And how do you foresee that helping with future classes?
Yeah, anytime you add kind of that wow factor, it's big. We know geographically it takes a little while to get out here sometimes, so you're going to get one shot at some of these kids making that trek. And so with the new indoor and the locker room, to make that first impression is huge for us. And we've definitely had positive feedback from parents and high school coaches and players of the difference that's made.
Over your time here, has your philosophy or your approach to recruiting changed at all? And if so, how?
Yeah, I think we're more focused now on making sure we get the right fit, the right player. In the past, when I first got here, it was probably a little more chasing stars to an extent, and now we're making sure it fits what we do offensively, defensively, the type of young men they are, wanting to be here, having a passion for football and a passion for this university.
Coach, with the open slots still on your staff, have you filled those yet, and are you at a spot where you can announce who else is coming on board?
We're close. I expect an announcement on another coach probably by this evening or in the morning, and then we'll have one more spot to fill, but we're getting there.
Is there any difficulty recruiting these 2 running backs without a running backs coach?
No, our staff did a great job. Brandon Jones, our O-line coach, really stepped up. So did Emmett Jones, and kind of sold them on what we do offensively, coming from an O-line coach perspective, and that really helped us.
Jalen Hutchings, what can he kind of do for you as an early enrollee DT where y'all got obviously some room there for a guy like him?
Yeah, Jalen's a very talented player. He had the knee injury his senior year, but you're talking about a second-team all-district running back and kind of a one technique, and so that's a rare combination of explosiveness and just getting him here, learning our scheme, getting him in rehab, bigger, stronger, faster. I think by summer workouts and fall camp, he'll be physically able enough to compete for some playing time, but that's kind of a deep group, so he'll have to really step up to kind of crack that lineup.
Will he be able to go in the spring? Or?
We're going to limit him. He'll do some individual stuff to start, and we'll just kind of monitor it from there.
He's 295 now, so he's added on some weight.
Yes. Yeah.
Can you speak to any of the preferred walk-ons, the kickers or Case Gatlin?
You can't do that yet.
Keyshawn Carter is one of the fastest guys in the state. Just what does he bring to us?
He is dynamic playmaker. We targeted him early. Obviously had some ties there. The last Woodlands high school wide receiver led the Super Bowl in receiving yards on Sunday. So we felt like we had a good chance to get him, and Coach Kidley did a tremendous job on their end recruiting him for track as well. And I think, talking to Keyshawn, he thinks he'll run a 10-1 this year in the 100, which would be phenomenal. And so he has game-changing ability. Great young man, and I hope it works out as good for him out here as it did Danny. So we'll see how that goes, but excited about him and a guy we think can play right away.
Did that help? The fact that
It didn't hurt. It didn't hurt, that's for sure. I think anytime you can see a guy that was at your high school and come out here and then have the success he's had, to want to follow in his footsteps a little bit is pretty impactful on a young player.
Has been one of the easier positions inside receiver? I don't say easy, but one of the more positions that, I guess, prospects are more available to you, I guess that's what it's saying?
We can show a lot of good highlights of those guys. You put it that way. There's a lot of them, and Kiki will be another one that's making a lot of plays in that, next level. When you're talking about Wes and Danny and Jakeem and Kiki. So yeah, I think some of those slot guys get excited when they hear Texas Tech.
Now that the Sports Performance Center is fully operational with track and everything, can you kind of speak to the value that brings to you guys to be able to go over there and maybe kind of just happen to bump into somebody that might be
Well, I mean, we would never do that, Chuck. You know that. So haven't done that. But no, just being able to show off everything we have. If they are coming to track meet and they're a dual sport, they can see our side of it and see, all the players we have up in that building that are in the NFL and the quality of work they did in that setting. It definitely makes a good impression on anybody that goes in that facility.
Eric Ezekan was a guy that you get signed that's a real explosive receiver out of the DFW. What really jumps out to you about him?
Yeah, his length and kind of body control for being that long. Very skilled player for being that long as a junior. Had 20 touchdowns. Had a really good senior year as well, even though he was banged up. But great length, 6'3", 190, and tremendous ball skills.
Two more.
Myler, same thing. I saw him against Grapevine. He was
Yeah.
balling. Blew me away. What are your thoughts on him?
Same. More fluid and faster than I thought when I saw him in person. I think he really developed his senior year, 1,500 yards, 16 touchdowns, really dominated most of the teams he played. And getting him here early is going to be huge just because the biggest thing he needs to work on is the weight gain and strength gains. But he's a very talented wide receiver who has a chance to play early.
Coach, I'm curious on the recruiting process when you're sitting there and you're talking to them about coming to the school as opposed to for the coach. Can you talk about that dynamic a little bit and the message you guys talk to with these prospective student athletes?
Yeah, I think that's something you always touch on. Obviously, in recruiting, people are going to talk about this or that or the situation. But the beautiful thing about Texas Tech is when you get out here and you get around the people and the student body and the fans, it sells itself. I mean, people fall in love with the university and the people and our alumni more than anything else. And so it really does. We try to get them out here, and once we get them out here, they tend to fall in love with it.
It takes time to build something. It takes time to rebuild something, and obviously, other than the people who really pay close attention to this program realize that we still have a long way to go to get where we want to go, but the progress has been seen on the game field. And then we got all those kids back, which makes it a lot easier. And I said it this morning during an interview. It makes it easier knowing your job for the spring and two-a-days and all that. It makes it harder in recruiting because these kids nowadays are so spoiled that they want to hear they can start. They want to look at the depth chart. So it's harder to recruit, actually, which is a good thing. Yeah, the kids we have are good kids. They're winners. They're kids who play multiple sports, come from good winning programs, and we're excited about the group we have. Not big, but unless Rico Jeffers shows up and is ready to play as a freshman, they're probably not going to play. So.
Patrick Curley, what did you like from him? It seemed like he was a guy you guys kind of got on late.
And everybody says that, and rightfully so. I mean, heck, if my job was to follow recruiting around, I would have done the same thing. I just know this, up until this year, people only follow the DBs that we recruit, just because of the history that I have with DBs. And then all of a sudden we start showing some progress, and people start chasing you. And I really believe this: the early signing date, the biggest thing that it did was, and it helped the people say it helped the lower division schools, it helped the smaller schools. It did that, but also the bigger schools, and I'm not going to name names, but they lose a player, and then all of a sudden over their Christmas break, they have to go find another one to go get, and then they come take yours. And that's kind of where we are in the pecking order right now. And, we lost some guys, but I like the guys that we have. And Patrick Curley, he's been on our radar all year. We've known we've liked him. We just, at first, we weren't going to take a linebacker. Then we were. And then we decided not to offer him until late, because if we did, I know it would have happened. And so, anyway, excited to have him. I think he's he's going to be a really good player here.
So you're saying that if y'all had offered him earlier, it would attract attention?
There's no question.
Suppose he did well when you see him on film, what,
Everything. He can run, he can hit, he can play inside linebacker, he can play outside linebacker. He starts on their basketball team, which their basketball team is pretty good. They won 43 straight games. Shoot, you know, that's a no-brainer. But and again, of course, I could say whatever I wanted right now, and it wouldn't matter. Excited to have him. He's very athletic, and granted,
Coach, wouldn't you rather lose a kid before you had him than get a kid here and have him transfer out and almost rather have a guy that has the passion to be here more than anybody else? Isn't that the kind of player you want?
there's no doubt, and that's you know that's the thing that goes back to Spike Dykes and you know Texas Tech and being out here in Lubbock. You know, you really got to have the right kid to come out here. You know, that wants to be here, but at the same time, that's also an excuse, which I get. I get both sides of it. You know what? It really doesn't matter. We're going to beat them with the players they don't want and the players we want. So, you know, the process is going forward, and we got good enough players to compete against everybody we play against, and I would suspect that will continue to happen.
what's your analysis of Xavier Benson?
Good player, can play inside, outside, very athletic. Saw him run around, shoot last spring. I think the kid's athletic enough he could play defensive back, linebacker, or outside linebacker, rush kind of guy. Tough kid, good basketball player, loves football. He's a winner. They won a state championship. Playmaker. He's going to get big. I've seen his daddy. He's going to get plenty big.
How much would you like him to play at? Just
I really don't care as long as he can run and hit and tackle and you know it's I'm gonna wait till he gets here with Dana and our nutrition program and you know let them you know work back and forth with them and see how big he can get and still run as fast as he can. That kid can run. I'm surprised he wasn't more highly recruited than he was personally.
How surprising is it to get a DT like Jalen Hutchins, who was, I mean, he's an all-district running back too?
You know, because he's 6 foot, he's not 6'3", which is what the superpowers want him. And kid ran for 700 yards as a junior. He ran sprints this morning with our team, and he outran everybody, every defensive, offensive lineman. You know, the kid's a power lifter, and he actually got hurt playing basketball. So we're fired up. I really believe if he would have played his senior year, it would have been hard for us to get him. And excited about that. Good kid too. He's smart, loves football, good family. There's no mistake there.
What's your projection on John Scott in terms of kind of where he plays and what he does well?
You know, he averages 28 points a game in basketball. Very athletic, raw. Comes from a program that's. I'm not going to disrespect him, but he's got a lot of improvement to make. He knows it, but very excited about him. And again, Hitchcock is a place where, for those of you who don't know Houston very well, you got to go find Hitchcock. It's not one of those spots that you are going to go eat at Papado's or Papacitos at. But the kid is athletic. He can play anywhere on the defensive line.
How did you feel about, signing for that number? Was it about where you wanted it? Was you a couple short? Just kind of what was that number for you?
You know, of course, you want me to say it was short, and were we on some other guys? Yes, we were on some good players, and we didn't get them, and that's okay. We'll find some more good players that want to come be Red Raiders. And again, there's a fine line with us right now because still after this year it won't be the case, but still choosing to play defense at Texas Tech right now is not very sexy. I get that. I'm okay with that. A year from now we won't be having that discussion. Because you got to choose it, and then you got to realize that you're still going to have to go compete, like you would at those other schools. So, it's going to happen. It's a matter of time, and we'll find some good players that come in here and help us. And again, they better be really good players anyway to come in here and play next year, because our guys they're only going to get better.
With you guys having redshirted 4 DBs, was that just a matter of just didn't feel like you needed to take very many numbers there too?
Yeah, there's no urgency. I mean, again, there were some guys that we would have taken, but they had to understand they probably weren't going to play. I mean, they look at the depth chart just like y'all do, and we redshirted 6 kids, and all 6 of them are going to play this year. Now, whether they start or play half a game or a quarter of the game doesn't matter. They're good players that didn't even play last year, so the competition it'll be fierce, and which is only going to make us better, and hopefully we'll make the next step.
So, in a perfect world, toward the end of the season, say in November, around the time the season ended, how many defensive players did you think that you would wind up signing? Just a few more than 4, what was the number?
Wait, what do you want me to say, Don? You want me to say 8? You want me to say 12? I'll say it. I'll say whatever you want. You know what? Honestly, going into shoot after the bowl game, and we didn't finish the bowl game. We gave up 2 long passes and lost the bowl game. So after that, if we could have signed 5 or 6, I'd have been happy. I'm happy with the 4 guys we got. It to me, and again, this is old school coaching BS, but it's about the guys that you get. It ain't about the guys that you don't get. So the 4 we signed are going to be good freaking Red Raiders. They're going to be good players. They're going to love being here. They're going to go to school. They're not going to get in trouble. They're going to take care of business. And the next group we bring in, if we sign another 1 or 2 before we start playing next year, then they're going to do the same thing. So,
Coach, do you like the concept of the grad transfer? Do you think that's healthy for football?
I don't personally. It's just there's too many loopholes in the system. To me, it's great for the kid because obviously, if you go get your degree, then you should be able to choose. The problem with it is until they actually come on your campus, until they actually step on your campus and start school, they're not yours. So all these grad transfers who say they're committed here and going here and doing this and that means absolutely nothing because the other 27 other schools in the country are still trying to get them. And they will continue to try to get them until they actually step foot on your campus. So that to me is the problem. Because if you count on one to come to your program and you talk about them and you introduce them and do all that, and all of a sudden, it could be 3 months from now he could decide he's not coming, and what is that?
So how would you fix that?
I don't know. I'm not a genius, man. I'm trying to still fix this friggin' this defense of ours, man. Holy cow! I'm trying to help Grant fix all the medical problems we got around this play. Just kidding.
2 more. Coach, you kind of talk about last season was bend, don't break. The mentality going this time around, is it the same? Is it different? And what do you kind of want to instill in these young guys that are coming into the program?
That's a good question because the old bend but don't break is about worn out around here. I've been playing that card for 3 years now. We got good enough players to compete with everybody, and you know what? At some point, Cliff's deal is finished. Obviously we didn't finish enough games this year. We were competitive and we fought, and we played more physical. We played better defense, and we gave our offense a chance to win games, which I've said since I've been here is my goal. Obviously with a young quarterback, or maybe not a young quarterback, but a newcomer quarterback, we got to play better on defense, and we got to, somehow find a way to win games, that aren't high-scoring games. So. But excited about the kids. The culture here has changed. Y'all have seen it. The players believe in what we're doing, and they're all back. And I said this morning, not just the starters are back, but the backups are back. So the kids who practiced for the last 1, 2, 3 years, however long they've been here, they can go in a game and function now, where that has never been the case. And then you also have the 6 red shirts coming from behind them. So that creates the competition, which, in my mind, is what makes good football teams. So.
Which one of those red shirts did the best, or impressed you the most? It's coming farthest since they got you on campus.
Shoot. I don't know. Both D linemen are really good players. Joe Wallace and Banasor, both of them are really good players. All 4 DBs can play football. They're all smart, tough, 3.5+ GPAs, come to work every day. To me, it's the older guys that got the problem, because the older guys are the ones who got to fight off these young guys who are coming and who take care of the business every day. So to me, that's how you build good programs. So I'm not going to throw a name out there. That's not fair.
But you're talking about Davis and Madison.
Yeah, all of them. Fry, Leggett. I recruited them all. They're all good players, Don. Probably not, but if they don't, they're close.
Thanks, Coach.
We got one more.
What did Jennings and Dewhurst, what do they bring to the staff?
A Red Raider and an old veteran coach. I traded 2 for 1, man. I got a steal. That's like bargain shopping. No, good people, hardworking guys. That you got one guy who's coached all over the state of Texas and can recruit, and you got one young guy who knows exactly what I want day in and day out and knows how to work, and we'll be just fine.
Been here about a week, probably total, maybe a week and a half, so not a lot of input. When I got here, I got caught up to speed as quickly as I could with guys that were already committed and already signed, and then maybe who we were still targeting towards the end of the class. But so not a ton of input, but very excited. Looks like a lot of good players, a lot of good size and speed.
A lot of players on the offense, I guess. Anyone stick out to you in terms of what you like to do in terms of your offense?
You know what? I don't want to single anyone out right now, and I tell you because I don't know them well enough to do that. Snapshot, though, there's a lot of speed and a lot of playmakers, which excites me. That would excite any offensive coach. So with what Coach King has done in the past and what we're going to evolve to do and just continue with this offense, I think we're going to put as many playmakers on the field as we can and just try to wear out a defense.
Coach, Will McKay, Red Raider Sports, and what's exciting about these 2 tailbacks you signed here in this late period? Seem like they fit a lot of the things you guys are going to do.
They do, and we have a need at running back. And I tell you, to me, they're 2 different players. You got the one young man, Tayshawn, that is just electric and can go, can score from anywhere on the field. And then the other one's a little bit more of a bigger back, a little bit more of a pounder. So, and quite honestly, that's what you want. You don't want to load up with too many guys that are the exact same. So I think we attacked both those needs, and they're going to be great additions.
How much do you know about the roster you got already at this point? Is it more you just come in and you learn about the recruits more than you do the roster at first?
So I'm trying to learn a little bit of both, and that's why this past week has just been such a whirlwind. With the current team, what I've been doing really is trying just to form my own opinions just based on their work ethic so far. Watching them in the weight room, out at the runs with the strength coaches. I have not tried to listen to outside opinions because I want them to know you got a new crack, a fair shake, and show me what you got. So we'll piece that together as we go through spring ball. Those 15 practices will be critical to us. But I'm excited. It's a fresh start for everybody.
For you, and I know the way that you've liked to run the ball in the past, how exciting is it to have your entire starting offensive line come back and then as many guys as you've signed to in the class?
I don't know if you could be in a better situation to have those guys come back. And, I've had some short meetings with those guys just in the last 3 days. And I told them that listen, we need to build this thing around you. You're the strongest position we have coming back. You should be a year stronger. You should be a year smarter and wiser. So yeah, we're going to build around those guys. And I think certainly when, you watch the Super Bowl, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Patriots couldn't block them. And I think that completely changed the game. So anytime that you're strong up front and you can control the line of scrimmage, you're going to have a chance to win every game.
Coach Don Williams with the Lubbock Avalanche Journal told me Cliff earlier, I guess, he used the term that you wanted to, have your offense evolve in a certain way, and he said he also would like to have the offense evolve. What are some key components in terms of personnel to what you like to do, what you want to do?
I think that's a great question. But what we're going to do is use what we have. So I don't know if it necessarily means what I want to have. I think right now we look at what do we have, and we're going to make that work. Coach Kingsbury's always been a spread guy. And really that term in college football anymore is thrown out from everybody. Everyone thinks they run a spread offense. Well, some guys use 2 running backs and 3 wides. Some guys use a tight end and 3 wides. Some guys are 4 wide receiver sets. Some guys have running quarterbacks, some don't. And I think we're going to be different this year than these guys were a year ago, not only because of our quarterbacks, but because of the receivers we have back. Running backs, we don't quite know maybe what we have as far as all the depth that we have. So that's a very fluid question right now. I think we're going to work this spring to figure that out, exactly who we are. In my world, I've always been used to playing a little bit more with a tight end in three wides. But I was taught a long time ago, a good coach can adapt to whatever you have. And that's what we're going to look to do this spring.
And you've also used a little one back too, is
A lot of one back. Yeah, I'm more familiar with one back. But again, anytime that you play with a one back and one tight end and three wides, you can also substitute that tight end with another running back. It's still sort of the same thing, sort of the same scheme. So everything sort of fits. I think it's just a matter of putting the pieces together.
Hey, Coach Jared Johnson, inside the Red Raiders. You mentioned the tight end, and just in looking in some of your history, you do use a lot of tight end. Have you seen tight end candidates on the roster? You won't be here a week, but are there any candidates to play that position?
So I've seen some names. I know they have some bodies that fit that position. I know it's not, we don't have 10 of them. But I also haven't seen enough to say, yeah, we can build around this guy, or no, we can't. Again, I think that goes back to spring ball and us figuring out who we're going to be. But we for sure have a couple big body types. It's just a matter of, are they going to turn out to be productive players for us? Are they not? Can they do what we want them to do? I think a lot of those questions remain unanswered until we get to practice.
Whether it was at Western Michigan or it was Indiana, you guys ran a ton of 11 and 12 personnel. Well, what's kind of the philosophy with that and the way you guys use tight ends in the run game?
You know, it's interesting. In a lot of those places where I was, we didn't have quarterbacks that could run. And to me, if you are in a spread offensive system and your quarterback cannot run, well, then you need to do something to protect the edge, to block that backside defensive end, if you will. Here this year with what we have, I know we have a couple quarterbacks that can move a little bit, so maybe we won't need that big tight end presence. But for me, in years past, that's why I've always done that. Now, we also recruited that position. We developed it. It was a big part of what we did. So, again, just different to me, just a different spread offense. I think that word can mean a lot of different things.
Coach, I would imagine through the hiring process, you and Kingsbury talked about how this is going to work as far as play calling, coming up with a game plan. Can you kind of give us an idea of what the game plan is?
I think that is in the works, to be honest with you. And I don't mean to be vague, but I don't know that we've sat down and said this is exactly what we're going to do. You know, Coach Kingsbury, you're looking at one of the best play callers in the game, one of the best offensive minds in all of college football. If we don't use that to our advantage, then I think that's foolish on our part. My role, the way I'm looking at this, is I'm coming in to help him any way that I can, whatever that means, putting together the game plan, offering some ideas, challenging what maybe he has done in the past, and on game day working with him however he needs. But I don't think anything's been set in stone as of right now today, but we'll work through that. We have a lot of time to work through that.
Coach, a lot of, the last 5 years, a lot of his coaching staff hires have been coaches that have roots here or in this region, so you're kind of outside the box from that perspective, coming from totally different part of the country and Big Ten background. How did y'all's connection, how did this guy come
Right.
about?
I think it's a great point, because this is totally outside the box, right, for Coach Kingsbury. And I think, right, this was more just through our coaching connections. I would say, you know, late December, January is kind of when you first sort of made some initial contact just to see, is there any interest? And I know he did his homework through all kinds of candidates. Again, we're at one of the best offensive schools in America. There isn't a coach out there that wouldn't have an interest in this job. So I know he did his homework and checked off the boxes that was important to him. And I think it's a credit to him that he did go outside his network, if you will, because to me that shows that's outstanding leadership to bring someone else in to say, how can I evolve? Any good organization, any good team is always evolving, and Coach Kingsbury wants to do that.
How many conversations did y'all have, and how long did y'all talk before you got the offer?
Yeah, I don't know if I know all the specifics, 3, 4, 5 times.
And you came down here to interview once or more?
Once, and then I met with him one other time.
What was it, you know, from afar that, you know, you didn't know him much, but what was it that's always stuck out about his offense, and now that you've gotten to know him, what is it that just kind of draws you to him as a coach?
It's just production, and It's like the New England Patriots. It doesn't matter what happens every single year, those guys show up in the Super Bowl. Well, whether you like them or not, you have to give them a lot of credit for what they've done. It's the same thing here with Coach Kingsbury. I mean, I don't know what it's been like in the past. I don't know what he had and what he didn't have. All I know is every single year, those guys are at the top of the stats every single year in production, in yards. So they're doing something right and something that is exciting for me to learn from and just to see what I can add to it.
Coach David Collier from the ABC affiliate here in town. I mean, you've been calling plays the last couple of years. I know you were co-offense coordinator with Kevin Wilson there in Indiana. I mean, ideally, would you at least like to call plays? I mean, I know that hasn't been finalized yet, but is it hard to go back? You know what I'm saying?
You know, I don't know that it is hard to go back because to me, I don't have an ego, and I'm not going to let that get in the way. I want to win, and I want to be here for a long time. So no, it doesn't really hurt my ego at all. I think any offensive coach would love to sit and say, I get to draw the plays and call the plays. That's a lot of fun. But at the same time, it's pretty cool when you can do it with somebody as well. And I think that's what I'm looking forward to do. You know, I look at this really more for me professionally is an opportunity to grow and learn a new system and expand my network. And if I can be here with Coach Kingsbury for as long as he will have me here and I can help him take this offense to the top, then I'm going to do that.
How much have you talked to Nate Sumfield in the past week?
Just a little bit through text messaging, nothing in person. I know I tried to stay away from him the week of the Super Bowl because I would imagine he was a little busy, but awful proud of what he's done and such a cool experience.
What was it that made him good?
His work ethic, you know, his commitment to being the best. Nate had outstanding size, but really need to work to put on the muscle mass, improve his foot speed, improve his arm strength, and he did all those things. He always had that look in his eye that he wanted to be great, and he worked at it, and he's at a place now where I'm hoping he can be in that league for a long time. I know he has the skill set to do it.
Tim, for you guys, you know, wherever you've been, you guys have had a ton of production at running back. You know, I think 5 straight years of 1,000-yard back. Well, what is it about the system that's helped tailbacks really succeed for you guys?
You know, we try to be dynamic enough that even though we have run plays called, we still have maybe wide receiver screens built in or routes built in off that, so that you just never can let a defense cheat. And Coach Wilson taught me that a long time ago. Randy Walker taught me that before that. Just you have to find ways to take the extra hat out of the box, and also our commitment to it, that we were gonna coach toughness and attitude, and we were gonna protect the point of attack with our tight ends. But recruiting helps. Recruiting some good backs and letting those guys feed them the ball and let them wear down a defense. But it's always been good.
Coach Bailey Burmester of the ABC affiliate in town. You know, you've only been here a week. Who is Kevin Johns without football? And you can answer that however you see fit.
Wow. Football's such a big part of my life. I don't know. You know, I enjoy reading. I enjoy studying leadership. So as much as I can read up on those guys or do as much research on that, I try to. You know, I enjoy being a dad as much as I can and playing golf with my kids. But this has been such a big part of my life for so long, I don't know what I would do if I took it out of my life. But I would be a dad. I would invest my time in my kids as much as I can and reading on leadership.